Hey there, how you doing? I really appreciate that some people are starting to watch my channel. I'm starting to get a little bit of attention. What I've been thinking about, it's very important to me that I am true to my own expression regardless of what happens there. Uh, so I can read you some notes that I wrote down right here, some things I want to talk about. And I might go back to them and elaborate on them. Maybe I won't. We'll see. This is what I wrote down. I want to talk about why I don't like being on Earth, yet I choose to create happiness. As it's not a delusion to want to do so, even though a person might feel kind of depressed being here. Depression is labeled as a syndrome, an illness, rather than possibly an accurate response to an ignorant culture. Depression is simply genuine emotion that occurs when expression is met with oppression. Depression isn't an identity, but the mark of insanity placed upon a person who hasn't sold their soul. Underdogs embody vital secrets that are being treated as if it's worthless. Underdogs are not disadvantaged. They are considered lower because they raise attention to the sewage that too many want to ignore, that the careless create. All right, so yeah, I want to balance. There's a lot of reasons to not like being on this planet. And when we bring attention to them, obviously if we focus on them too much and we become sort of a fighter against these things that oppress us, we may lose ourselves to sort of this fighting mentality where we're not creating the dreams that we really wanted to manifest here or materialize. It's not something we just dream inside, but it externals outside of us. And choosing to create happiness, like there is some sort of mania or delusion where when people are always needing to be chipper and up all the time, like, oh, it's such a rainbow sunny day, but they choose to actively ignore voices of oppressed people or depressed people, people who have very valid, worthy things to say, and it may not be easy to listen to them, but their voices are valuable. So there's like a balance, right? Be careful what you're creating in this world. And because there's another angle where we can use our unhappiness, our dissatisfaction, or the things that are keeping us oppressed or depressed as an excuse to not create our dreams, to say that we've got all these other deeper issues that are more important than our dreams, which I think is the opposite's true. Like what you want to bring into this world, if something stopped you from doing it, you were hitting the nail too well on the head for certain people who might feel a little inadequate for giving up on their dreams. And I don't even want to act like that's a bad, like, I'll tell you, lately I haven't been really feeling too called to creating music or art or anything, because most people I've presented it with to try to align with me on it, generally, most people just want to do what they want to do, and they don't really care to kind of co-create in a way that's sort of an even exchange. There's always got to be some leader of creation, some head artist, hierarchy being inflated into creativity. All right, depression is labeled as a syndrome, illness, rather than an accurate response to an ignorant culture. I want to credit UFO Caller for saying that she's a YouTuber. You can find her on Instagram. She said that depression, the opposite of depression, is expression. Beautiful. But then when I realized that the word oppression, the reason why I wanted to make that distinction is so many times people place on a person who is just trying to draw attention to what is actually happening to them. There's something wrong with them. They have a syndrome. They can't deal with reality, when maybe this society clearly doesn't represent most of its people. In politics, I mean, the United States, they literally have a system set up where not every voice can be represented, but only maybe half of it at best. And even the half, it's more like, I don't know, maybe 1% to 5% at best. And then you've got the subjects of schools. Like, schools literally teach you math, English, literature, and history out of the same four subjects in the entire world into all people. And some people want to be professional dancers. People, I've mentioned this in other videos, I won't get too deep into that. But that's a very clear indication that many different shapes of people are being fitted into the same four holes, right? So to call someone depressed or sad or not happy with the current world as you're just being negative, or you have an illness or syndrome, you have ADHD, you're autistic, you have so many things wrong with you, and yet those who actually are at the top of society, who have money and stature, there is no way for you to pin onto them as if they have some sort of illness or syndrome. Because they can, if they so fit, if they so see it, they can take all kinds of things away from you. They can ruin your lives. And I'm not saying that they always do that, but I'm just kind of sharing with you how when people say you have a syndrome or an illness, what they're really saying is that you can't hack it with this system. You should actually conform to it in some way rather than it, you shaping it to kind of suit all souls, or at least your soul or people like you. It's kind of like there's societal acceptance of certain behaviors that are actually insane. And then other versions are deemed insane, but they're really just less popular. I don't actually believe in normal. I think that everyone is a weird, eccentric creature, and even people who end up being brainwashed and ended up like being parts of groupthink and are essentially letting other leaders be their voice for them. That is a type of programming that's also kind of crazy, eccentric, and weird. So there is no such thing as normal. All of us are unusual, unique creatures, but some of us have convinced ourselves that we are normal, which is strange. All right, depression is simply genuine emotion that occurs when expression is met with oppression. I kind of got into that a bit. Genuine emotion. We tend to see certain emotions as this one good, this one bad, this one's kind of on this level over this emotion. I don't read emotions as better than each other. Whenever we get into artistic expressions, whether it's film or music, it's very obvious that emotion kind of can stir around and bleed into each other or cross-pollinate in ways that kind of reveal that it's all the same thing and yet it's not at the same time. So I just see depression as someone's, like, maybe their beautiful, expressive, creative abilities are being met with energies that are not making it feel like home, but like it is a syndrome or something wrong with them. It just wants to go to a place where it feels like itself, where it feels at home. Okay, depression isn't an identity, but the mark of insanity placed upon a person who hasn't sold their soul. When I say the mark of insanity, I don't mean that that person is insane. Basically, what insanity means is absolutely don't listen to this person. And I'm not saying that some people aren't insane. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just kind of drawing our attention to our amazing capacity to mislabel things due to laziness or a lack of curiosity, or sometimes it's not so nefarious, like it's hard enough to pay the bills, right? So a lot of us are tired. We're tired of being used as slaves to live in a materialistic lifestyle, gaining money to pay bills, while our dreams seem to be so difficult to gain traction to because we have to worry about not even paying money to own our own house, but even rent. Most people can't afford to live in a house now. They to own their own house. So yeah, insanity. I'm not saying insanity doesn't exist. I'm just saying that most people, when they use the word insanity, they're saying don't listen to that person. They're crazy, they're unbalanced, and they're really saying that society, it's uncool to accept them, or there are other people who are more important than that person. These are possible perspectives. I'm not saying it's always that way, but I'm kind of sharing with you how the definitions of things aren't so clear-cut, right? Depends on what a lot of people don't always say exactly what they mean, you know. Underdogs embody vital secrets that are being treated as if it's worthless. I think there's lots of secrets of the universe that they're not cross-pollinating. You've got so much hierarchy inflated in multiple types of groups, whether it be religion, government, the education system. Notice that these all resemble very closely to jails and psych wards or military. They all have like a sort of hierarchy in which if you do not do what the leader tells you to do, you'll be ostracized and demeaned, even if the leader is corrupt. Or if the leader doesn't represent the voices of all of its constituents, which it often doesn't. And it's actually not, usually they don't really want to listen. Isn't that a reasonable conclusion? That if so many people are not being listened to, then the leaders don't want to listen. They prefer things to be the way that they are. I don't believe in leaders. I believe in us taking self-accountability and responsibility. If we all had sort of leader-like qualities of propelling our dreams and standing up to oppression, we wouldn't have a need for leaders to run our lives for us. Clearly there's a better way to go about this. That's just my own opinion. Underdogs are not disadvantaged. They are considered lower because they raise attention to the sewage that too many want to ignore, that the careless actively create. I really see this kind of stay positive, even law of attraction has elements of this, in which I don't really want to see the parts of myself that I'm afraid of. So anyone who reminds me of that, I'm just going to say that, there's something wrong with them, or sort of point the finger when we're really pointing the fingers at ourselves. And I wanted to really make the distinction that underdogs aren't disadvantaged. It's other people saying they are, or that, oh, you have an illness or syndrome or some patronizing behavior, pat on the head. People are always projecting. You can project your dreams, you can project the things that you're afraid of. And generally, if a person is afraid of someone else, they don't want to admit it, and they want to seem like they're better than them. And they try to get others to do the same. It would be nice if we all just actually really accepted each other, even if we disagreed with each other. If we just owned up to, okay, I did that wrong. I didn't, or maybe not even wrong. All right, I had this intention, and it wasn't, my behavior didn't mirror my intention at all, and I didn't realize it until later. A lot of these things, I find that a lot of people genuinely really want to be good. They really do. And a lot of people do want to own up to their stuff. But there is this sort of belittling energy, the possibility that you could be ostracized, or maybe it's not even the possibility. Maybe that's what's been going on your whole life and you haven't been able to change it. That's how I feel. I talk to people about my unique perspectives all the time. No one comes over my house to hang out with me. I've gone over other people's houses. I've put myself in other people's worlds. I am pretty frustrated with this world. I don't enjoy being here. And it's reasonable. My reasons for not enjoying being here are valid. I have spent my whole life trying to make a music studio, creating art, trying to propel my dreams, and it's fantastic to me how many people have done more to hurt me than help me. There have been people that have helped me, for sure, you know. Unique people need to, like, I really wish, I would like our world to get back to a curious state where we actually really want to know about eccentricities in other people. And our expression isn't so important that we aren't willing to listen to others with this, given the same space for that expression. Because I find that happens a lot. We have, our communication isn't very good. It's been oppressed for years. So anyway, what is a nice note to end this all on? I think everything I'm saying here is positive because I'm explaining things that genuinely have happened to me or occurred to me that I feel in a certain way, even if they're uncomfortable, because I'm letting it air out there and I'm giving it to others and I'm trusting them to, hey, I resonate with what he's saying. Some of you may not. Some of you may say, this guy, he's whatever reason. I don't know how you might see this as negative. But that's okay. I'm willing to accept that. I just wanted to kind of vent a little bit here about my own personal struggles. And one thing I want to point out lastly, but not least, is that depression is a label that they put on you. You may not even be depressed. You're literally just being yourself. And if being yourself often leads to sadness because your words aren't being received by those around you, then it's a valid emotion. It's a valid complaint. And you have valid words to be expressed. I no longer see myself as a depressed person or a sad person or a downtrodden person. I don't see myself as an underdog or whatever, all these things. That was the whole point of this, was to just share with you how I'm a pretty balanced person. I've been functional my whole life. Always pay my bills. I have contributed to a vast amount of communities that just didn't really gravitate towards me, and that's okay. Maybe I was annoying to them. Maybe we didn't resonate for whatever reason, and that's okay. But we don't have to feel bad about ourselves anymore. I don't even want to feel bad about others, but we can point out kind of weird behavior, right? Otherwise, it's never going to be addressed. Well, I hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you if you've made it this far, and I really hope your soul resonates and flourishes and loves being who it is.